I want to take you on a journey. You don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to show up with a hammer. It was $50,000. Here's a trick. Hey guys, Derek here. I'm just kind of taking you on a journey and kind of pointing you to the right direction and telling you my story of how I got to where I'm at and how I'm able to do what I'm able to do now. There are a few different methods that you might learn about in real estate. There's this really popular method. I didn't even know it was a thing, but they call it a BRRR, B-R-R-R. And if you want to take it another step, you could do another R. So B-R-R-R-R. You buy it, you rehab it, or renovate it, you rent it, and then you refinance it. And then if you're that guy who wants to throw another R, then you repeat it. You know, that's the BRRR method. That's okay. In order to buy a BRRR method, in order to buy a house, you have to have cash up front, that buy part. You can't go to the bank and borrow money on a house that needs complete rehab. So if you don't have cash, you can go to what's called a hard money lender, and those hard money lenders will give you cash. They'll take house as security, and there are a few formulas you have to play by. So when you're looking at a house, you have to know what your numbers are. And if you have a hard money loan from an individual, this loan guy down the street, he wants his money back. And so you are now kind of on a timeline to get him his money back. And I think it's kind of stressful. I've done a BRRR myself, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to have used my own money and not had to borrow money from other people. And I think that, you know, if you're going to get into that BRRR method, there are a lot of different videos. There's a lot of resources out there to help you to do that BRRR. And that's a house flip. You know, you buy it, you rehab it or renovate it, then you rent it out, then you refinance it, and then, you know, again, you repeat if you're that guy with that. Going to the bank, you're doing that third R, you have to know your numbers. And if the market isn't on your side, or if the appraisal doesn't come in on your side, you might be still having to pay that loan guy back some money, and you might be a little bit short. So do your calculations, look at your loan to value. I think you're looking at around 70%. I myself, when I did my BRRR, I totally forgot about that 70%. So your house appraisal has to come in much higher. The bank will allow you to refinance and take your money out, cash out. That's great. And then you can pay this guy back, and there's usually a little bit of money in between. That's really fantastic. But if you miscalculate or your appraisal doesn't come in that much, then you're in trouble. Then you got to figure out where you're going to get that money from. You know, I think oftentimes on the internet, you hear people telling you their success stories, but it's not always successful. But in my BRRR, I was very fortunate. I got all of my money back, and then I was able to get a mortgage on the property. I was able to put a tenant in, and I was also able to cash flow a couple $100s a month. But that's not really where I'm making my money. I'm not really making the money on the cash flow on the BRRR. I'm looking for the appreciation over the years. And of course, I love the depreciation. So that's where I'm making money on that BRRR. And keep in mind, a BRRR is just another name for a flip. I like rental properties. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some strategies and methods on how I was able to get my rental properties. But before I get there, I want to talk about REITs. You can get a REIT, a real estate investment trust. Basically, you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to show up with a hammer. You don't have to really worry about tenants or any stress. You pretty much go, it's kind of like a mutual fund, and you hire someone or a company, and you put the money in there, and hopefully the markets do well, and you know, you get your money back. Basically, these big organizations take and they invest. These are the guys that are going and buying, you know, 80 homes in a housing tract, and they're basically buying all of these properties in bulk, and then they're using your money to buy those, and then they're giving you a portion of your money back. So if that's something you're interested in, you know, I would take a look at REITs. I personally have heard about them many years ago, and I never got involved in a REIT. I was too leery of it, but now they're very common. But back in the day when I first heard about it, I had no idea what it was. So you can do that, but I really love the buy and hold. It's a fancy name for rental properties. And the rental properties I really like to go after are single family homes. Single family homes. I love those. Now there are pros and there are cons. And I think over the years, I've learned to kind of live with the pros and the cons. And, you know, now that I have several properties under my belt, more than several, I have quite a few under my belt, I'm able to stabilize. Let's just say you start with your first one. If it's not rented, you're in trouble because you're going to need that to get that rented. As soon as you get 2 or 3 properties and one's not rented, it's no big deal. If you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you have a couple that aren't rented. Of course, you need to talk to your property manager. You want to get those rented, but if there is vacancy, you know, hopefully you've been able to finance them well enough that you don't have to worry about any sort of downtime. I know that on my properties, sometimes I have downtime. I had one up north about 30 minutes. It's been vacant for about a month now, but I'm also asking a lot of money for rent. And yes, I am that guy. I'm asking a lot of money for rent, but I also spent a year rehabbing and fixing that property. So why not? I want to get my money back. And it's going to be a slow pay, but I'll get that money back. And how am I able to acquire these rental properties? That's why you're here. So I have a couple of different methods that you could use to acquire rental properties. And I actually tell all my employees, dude, buy real estate and rent the rooms. It's that simple. Now, you don't have to even buy the real estate. You could rent it, put it under your name, and have your roommates or rent out rooms to people you don't know, and then they can pay the bills for you. Or in this instance, I suggest that you go buy a property. In my last video, you'll hear me say buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, because it's the same as qualifying for a mortgage. And that's a different video. But the point is, I would rent out my rooms if you're able to. Buy 2, 3, 4 bedroom place, rent out all those rooms, and let those individuals pay your mortgage, pay your bills. Do it. Why not? What are you waiting for? You have so much to gain from there. And I'm really proud of one of my employees. He was able to do that. He and his wife, they bought a condo, and then he rents out the rooms. And I had dinner with them a couple months back, and they said, Derek, thank you so much for telling us about this. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for guiding us. We really appreciate it. And we're grateful. And I'm happy. I'm happy that they could do that, because I have nothing to gain there. I'm just trying to educate them on something that it's just a smart financial move. And I would suggest, if you're in that position, if you can do it, then absolutely. I would really suggest that you rent your rooms. Now, if you have a dog or you have children or it's just not the right fit, then maybe now's not the time. But think about it. In the future, it could be the time. So just keep that in the back of your head. Another item that I like to do is what I call bank hacking. Now, I didn't invent it. I just happened to be living it for several years, and I didn't even know I was living it and doing it. I just happened to think, wow, this works. But hear me out. When I started, I started with a mortgage, and I bought a house. It was $50,000, 50, yep, $50,000. It wasn't that much in Central Florida. And I was able to purchase that house. I was able to fix that house up, and I was then able to move a couple years later. Now, let me explain this. You can buy a house and put 3 to 5% down. So 3 to 5% is what you're required to put down for a mortgage. And that's like on a conventional loan. I'm not talking FHA, I'm not talking VA. I'm talking about a conventional mortgage with a 30-year payment. By doing that, you are able to put very little money down. Now, these no money down deals, be cautious, do your research, because there is going to be closing costs. You have to pay, the title company to close and do the search. You don't want to buy a property that, hasn't had a title search. So you're going to have several $1,000s. Depends on where you are, what market you're in, how much money you're going to have to put down, and of course the price of the house. So even a zero money down, you still have to pay several $1,000s for the closing company. So be aware of that. I had no idea. For me, I don't remember the number, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to close on a $50,000 house. I didn't know that that's what a title company charged, but they're all different, and that's what they charged me somewhere around that time, in 2015. Now, I bought the primary home, and I lived there for, I forget the time, maybe 1, maybe 2 years. And you are allowed to purchase another primary by putting only 3 to 5% down after the 1 to 2 years is up. That's pretty cool. So you can put very little money down on a property and move your primary to that new property. And that first one, most people sell it because they need to take that money that they have, their down payment, and then they need to relay that and basically drop it into this new property. If you're able to save, and trust me here when I say this, I have been very frugal. On my dad's side, they call me the bean counter because I save all my money and I count it, and I work very hard. And I have worked very hard for many years to be able to afford the lifestyle that I live now. But at the same time, I think that you can do the same, and that's why I'm talking to you about this. If you are able to continue saving your money and put money down on a second house while keeping your first property and then renting out that property, you are on the right path to what is called bank hacking. I didn't create it. Look it up. There are articles out there. There are other videos, but this bank hacking method has helped me quite a bit along the way. And so every couple of years, you just buy a new property, and you basically go to the mortgage company, ask them for a new loan. And as long as your debt to income ratio works out, that's how much money you make versus how much money you spend each month. And that, I have a whole other video for that, but you need to take a look at your debt to income ratio, make sure that you can qualify for that, and then ask the bank to give you a loan. Now, here's a trick. The trick is, if you go to qualify, and the first property, they take a look and they say, listen, your payment is this much, you can't afford to buy 2 properties. You can ask the mortgage company to use projected income for that first property. Now, not everybody uses projected income for that rental property, but that will help you, and that will show stronger income coming in to help you offset and decrease your debt to income ratio. That's going to make you look more attractive, and by using that kind of projected income, you're able to kind of finagle the numbers, and then I think that should help you out quite a bit. And that's a tip and trick I didn't know. I just happened to be saving all these years. So I was able to bank hack and move my way forward. If you like this video, give it a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or share it with a friend. Either way, I do appreciate your time, and thank you for watching my video.